I'm Lorena, and today I'm going to read The Little Green Goose. By Adele Sansom, illustrated by Anke Faust. In a cozy barn on a cozy farm, there lived 4 hens, a noisy rooster, a cluster of chicks, Daisy the farm dog, and Mr. Goose. Mr. Goose loved to play tag or hide and seek with the young chicks, and he often took them for a swim or read them a story. But Mr. Goose, he wasn't happy, for he had a secret wish. He longed for a chick of his own, a baby that he could raise himself, a downy little goose who would call him Daddy. I'm going to make my dream come true, said Mr. Goose, and he decided he went to talk to the brown hen. Good day, Mrs. Brown Hen, he said politely. Would you be kind enough to give me one of your fine eggs? I would so much like to raise a baby chick. Cluck, said Mrs. Brown Hen. She was so startled that she almost fell over backward out of her nest. You're not a hen, you're a goose, she said. Poor Mr. Goose, he waddled away sadly. That night, he thought it over. There was nothing wrong with wanting to be a father, and if he had no wife to lay him an egg, he had no choice but to ask the other hens. So back he went, this time to Mrs. White Hen and Mrs. Black Hen and Mrs. Speckled Hen. Good day, dear hens, he said. Would any of you be so kind enough to give me one of your eggs? I would like to raise a baby chick myself. Cluck, 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 cluck. The hens were outraged. Once again, Mr. Goose waddled off sadly. Daisy found him sitting glumly on a rock. Woof, woof, she barked excitedly. I heard you want an egg. Come with me. I think I can help. Daisy led the way to a corner of the field at the edge of the woods. There on the ground was an egg. A giant egg. I found it. I dug a hole for my bone and I found this egg, said Daisy. It's a bit old and smelly, but maybe you can still hatch it. Oh, thank you, said Mr. Goose. Mr. Goose quickly built a nest, climbed up on top of the egg, and waited. Day after day, he sat there dreaming of his baby goose. One morning, Mr. Goose heard a soft tap and then a tiny crack, crack. And then something appeared on the egg. The crack grew bigger and bigger until the teeny little beak started to poke out. Or was it a beak? Suddenly, there was a loud crack, and a chick emerged. It was bright green. It had beautiful, shiny scales, and it had a long tail, too. The chick stared at Mr. Goose, and Mr. Goose stared at the chick. Mommy? Peeped the chick. Daddy, said Mr. Goose. Daddy? Cried the chick. Here he is, cried Mr. Goose. He called me Daddy. Daisy ran around barking. Ruff, ruff, ruff. She had never seen a goose like this. Isn't my baby beautiful, said Mr. Goose. Indeed he is, said Daisy. He is a beautiful green goose. Daddy, peeped the little green goose. Hungry? Mr. Goose fed his baby worms and snails and other yummy things. And every night he gabbled a bedtime story, and then right before his baby fell asleep, he said, "Close your eyes and sleep under my wing, for you are my little green goose, and I love you." Now the little green goose grew and grew, and one morning Mr. Goose said, "Now, my son, I think you're big enough to meet the other animals." Mr. Goose was proud of his son, and he was sure the others would be amazed. And how amazed they were. Mr. Goose had actually hatched a chick. And what a chick! They had never seen anything like it. He's so cute. He's standing on his daddy's feet, and he's holding his daddy's wings, and he's pushed all the way up against his daddy's little tummy. A few weeks later, the little green goose was walking around the farmyard by himself. He could hear the chicks chatter and the hens giggle when he walked past. "I'm very sorry to say it," said the rooster, "but you are not a proper goose." "Yes, I am," said the little green goose. "Mr. Goose is my daddy." "No, you're not," said the rooster. "Take a look at yourself. You don't have feathers. You don't have a beak. And you're green. Mr. Goose cannot possibly be your daddy." The little green goose began to cry. He ran to the pond and looked in the water. The rooster was right. He didn't have feathers or a beak, and he was green. He didn't look one bit like a goose. "I'm going to find my real daddy," he decided. On a stone by the bank sat a big fat green frog. "You are as green as I am," cried the little green goose happily. "You must be my daddy." "Ribbit," said the frog. "No, I'm sorry, I'm not." And he leapt away. "Well, he's not my daddy," said the little green goose. Just then a fish with bright green scales swam past. "Are you my daddy?" the little green goose called out. "Bloop, bloop, bloop," said the fish. "It's none of my business." And he swam away. "He's not my daddy either," said the little green goose. But then he saw a green lizard with glistening green skin and a long tail. "You look just like me. You must be my real daddy," said the lizard. "I'm not." "Yes, you are." "I'm not," said the lizard. "I've never seen an animal like you." "But I'm here," cried the little green goose. "I must look like somebody. Who's my real daddy?" "Well, it's certainly not me," said the lizard. The little green goose sat down and cried. "I'm just a baby. I need a daddy." He was hungry. Who would give him something to eat? He was tired. Who would make him a soft nest? But most of all, the little green goose was lonely. Who would love him? Oh, he's sitting by the tree all by himself. He looks kind of sad. Suddenly, he leaped to his feet and began to run. He ran past the lizard with the long green tail. He ran past the fish with the bright green scales. He ran past the frog who was sitting on his stone again. And he ran faster and faster. Now he knew who his daddy was. "Daddy! Daddy!" he called. It's about time you came home for supper, said Mr. Goose fondly. I've been looking for you. Daddy, said the little green goose, and he snuggled his head happily under his father's warm wings. I think they're family. They don't look like each other, but they're family. And that's the end of The Little Green Goose. I like that book. All right, I have a song today, and it's actually, I don't even know if stegosauruses were green, but I wonder. This is how it goes. My name is Stegosaurus. I'm a funny looking dinosaur. For on my back are many bony plates, and on my tail are more. Sometimes another dinosaur comes by and wants to fight. I don't use fists, I use my tail. It has 4 sharp, sharp spikes. Sing it with me. My name is Stegosaurus. I'm a funny looking dinosaur. For on my back are many bony plates, and on my tail are more. Sometimes another dinosaur comes by and wants to fight. I don't use fists, I use my tail. It has 4 sharp, sharp spikes. Bye.